What is it like for a team like the Packers this week that will be trying to figure out a way to win, most likely, but not 100% for sure, without Jordan Love?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be difficult because Willis is so new to the building still, right? Like, he only got here, a little, like, 2 weeks ago, week and a half? Like,
It'll
so
be
it's not like
weeks,
he's been around.
3 weeks the day after the game. So it won't even be 3 weeks when he plays.
Yeah, so guys are still trying to understand how he plays, how he wants to play, kind of his style. So, like, that's difficult not only for the wideouts who have to get the timing with him, but for the guys up front that have to block for him and understand his movements and what he likes to do and kind of his, the way he steps out of a pocket and runs and where he scrambles. Like, that's all difficult stuff to learn in such a short amount of time. And I mean, let's just be real. He hasn't taken probably any reps with the ones until this week. So, like,
right.
These guys up front, from a communication standpoint, from an understanding of what he likes to do back there, I mean, it's difficult. Now, the silver liner is everyone knows that Love's going to come back. So, like, they have that bit of optimism in their head. They're like, hey, we got to make this work for as many weeks as is necessary. It could be 1, could be 2, who knows? But we need to make this work and continue to put us in a position for that when Love does get back, we can make a little run and get hot and be right where we need to be, or where we wanted to be when we started this season out. But this week in practice is going to be important, very important. Like, they got to figure out not just, the guys around him, but the coaches, what can he do well? What is he comfortable doing? Like, you can't just turn around and hand it to Jacobs 30 times. Like, Indy's going to load the box. There's going to be 8 guys in the box to start the game if Jordan Love's not playing. Like, they're going to stack the box, and they're going to tell Malik Willis, like, you got to beat us. And the Colts defense aren't a bunch of slouches. They're good. Like, they got good players on that side of the ball. So, like, this is not going to be something where we can just rely on the run game from play 1 till the end of the game. Like, yeah, we got to be able to be efficient on the ball or on the ground some way, somehow. But you can't just rely on that. He's going to have to put the ball in the air. You're going to have to make the Colts play both ways here. And that's going to be tough. So it's a huge week for the staff to figure out a plan to make Malik feel comfortable. Like, that's also an important thing, that he feels comfortable running this offense. And then with the guys around him, the communication this week and helping him out. Like, Myers is going to have to be huge this week. Like, he's going to have to play phenomenal ball, not just, blocking, but also helping him identify defenses, making checks, and all that. He's going to have to be spot on with it because, like, Willis is going to be thinking about a lot of different things besides making the IDs and correcting, making checks and adjustments. So, like, Myers is going to have to be on point this week. So it's a big practice week for these guys.
Yeah, Blue, so it's simplify the game plan, right? Make it as simple as you can. Make it, shrink the playbook. But I guess the question I have is, you're going to find out what strengths Malik Willis has, and you're going to try to play to him. How do you do that when you have a system in place? How much stuff would you add? Let's say he loves and I don't know a ton about Malik Willis other than watching a couple of the games he played in Tennessee. If he's an RPO guy, how much of that do you mix in or add in compared to what you had with Jordan Love? How much can you put on the rest of this offense to help Malik without really taking away from the other 10 guys?
Yeah, that's the tough part. Like, I can assure you there's no, like, I mean, unless something's changed since I've been there, I mean, and it couldn't have been that much because Aaron was the QB and then Love's first year. Like, there's no design quarterback runs in that offense. Now, they may put one in, and that's something new the guy's got to learn. There's RPOs built into this scheme already. Like, there's run-pass options where Love either keeps it or throws it or quick throws out wide. Now, those may become a little more prominent. LaFleur may add a little more to those throughout the week. That shouldn't impact the guys up front blocking. Now, the receivers need to be on point with that a little bit more, knowing the likelihood of the ball coming out to them, what routes they run off that. So, like, that could be a little more complex. But we got a good group of wideouts that I think they can adjust to that and they can learn that. But you can't go in there and just start throwing in 15 new plays this week because that's what Malik's comfortable with. Like that can't happen. Like it doesn't happen. Like you'll be lucky if you go into a game week, even with your starting quarterback, and there's maybe 1 or 2 new concepts that you come up with. Like you can't go in there and redesign a playbook in 4 days. Like it doesn't work that way. So they're going to have to figure out if it is the RPO game, if it is designed runs or what it could be. Like there'll be a couple of them built in there for him, and LaFleur and Steno, they're going to be getting together and trying to figure out what they can add without completely blowing up the system and starting over because they can't do it. It's impossible. LaFleur's scheme is the scheme. Like all the guys know it, they've trained in it, they understand it. Willis just kind of has to. He's not going to catch up right away, but he has to adjust his game to fit what these guys know and do so well. And then the coaching staff has to find what he does well and adjust the game plan slightly for him. So it's like a give and take on both sides here, which could go great or it could look shaky. I mean, and that's just being honest. I don't know how it's going to look. And that's –
Yeah. I think one of the things I'm curious about is you have a lot of other quarterbacks, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I saw this on Get Up. They have – a lot of coaches have this system that Matt LaFleur has. Shanahan, McVay. There's a lot of guys, and there's a lot of quarterbacks that have experience in that system. The Packers chose to go a different direction because they liked Malik Willis' skill set, talents. But now I think they were hoping if they didn't need him and they could develop him. And unfortunately, it's not even 1 week in, and he's being called upon to play. For as much as I love Goody, if this doesn't go well, that's a miss. Because there's plenty of guys out there that know this system a heck of a lot better than what Malik Willis does.
Yeah. I mean, there is. And that's being 100% real right there. Like there are guys out there that have experience in this scheme and system and understand it and have played in, you look at all of them right now, like Cincinnati's won, LA's won, San Francisco's won, we're
Minnesota.
one. Like Minnesota's another one. So there's guys that are out there that understand it. But yeah, they went with this route, and obviously there's no way they expected to be calling upon him after almost a game. Like you can't even predict that. So I don't want to be hard on Goody with it because he wasn't, he's looking at that move as something maybe down the line as a future. Maybe we develop him and it comes into a nice, trade piece or something of that nature. But certainly not to be called upon week 2. So yeah, you got to go with what you got now, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah. The other part of it is, and why I think there's this outside chance of playing Jordan Love, A, that NIR him, but the other thing is, if you really want a subterfuge, now granted, I don't know how much subterfuge this is going to be, but you say, well, I don't know if we're going to go Sean Clifford or Malik Willis. That's the play to me.
Minute, that's what I said yesterday, and you poo-pooed me for suggesting that was subterfuge.
No, if you would listen, I said, I don't know how much subterfuge, because neither of these guys have any kind of proven record. Nobody's going to be scared of either of them. That was my point back. But, Blue, how did you – give us your little breakdown of the film. I love it when you break down these O-linemen. Josh Myers and Zach Tom. Sheed, I think, struggled a little bit. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, first play of the game, blown run. Very first play, Sean Ryan gets arm overed and blown up in the backfield.
Should have had Jordan Morgan in there. Should have started Jordan.
Well, I mean, it was just there was solid runs of play and series that looked really good, and then there were just series that it just looked, bad. And then Rasheed Walker had a blown assignment on a sack. It was clearly scat protection. Myers was sliding left. I think your guy from Wisconsin came off the edge and he was cut loose. It's just, small things like that just continued to happen. Not every series, but every other series. And they can never really get in a flow. I thought in the run game up front, I thought Elton was good. I thought Zach Tom was good pretty much the whole game. He looked a little rusty at times. I think from a pass blocking perspective, he'll get better with the more reps he get. Obviously, he missed time and 11-on-11 work and things like that. But I think overall he played well. Still hard to get a real vibe on Jordan Morgan yet from the time he got. He didn't get a bunch of snaps, so it's hard to get a solid beat on him. I don't think he did anything like bad. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't watch it and go, man, he looked terrible from snap one. Like, there was nothing like that. So, like, I expect him probably to get more time this week against the Colts, would be my guess. Now, I will say the Colts got a pretty good interior guy, Buckner. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He can wreck a game real quick. So I'd imagine that whoever the right guard is going to see a lot of Buckner because, I mean, Elton's pretty solid as it is. Like, if you're going to go test somebody, you're going to go test the right guard position. So whoever's playing right guard is going to see a lot of Buckner, which will be fun to watch. I mean, at least for me, because I'm not playing and I don't got to block Buckner, so I get to watch it. But it was just inconsistent. And do I think they can get better? Yes. Like, we saw the run game come alive in the second half. Like, that's in the first half. Would they get like 9 yards off of, or like Josh Jacobs got like 9 yards in the first half or something like that? So we saw it improve in the second half, but I still think from a protection standpoint, there's a lot to be desired and cleaned up. And I think they'll get there because there were patches of it throughout the game, like series where it looked really good. And then a series, like I said, it just was like, ew, what's going on here? So wasn't their best performance. And like, in its simple things, it wasn't like guys were blown assignments left and right like last year. It didn't look like that. It just looked like
Jalen
physical
Carter's
mistakes.
Jalen Carter's pretty good.
I know. So I'm saying physical mistakes, like just getting beat,
so Blue,
sloppy technique.
Yeah, Blue, what changed? Why did we have more success in the second half? Was it just guys blocked better? What was it that allowed Jacobs to have that second half in comparison to what we saw in the first half?
I mean, guys blocked better. I'll just be real with you. Like, there wasn't a big shift in the plays that LaFleur was calling. It's not like he completely changed up the run game. Like, it was very consistent with what they were doing in the first half. We were just putting hats on hats. I think the receivers did a better job in the second half as well, blocking. They were getting up to the second one. That's when you see those big runs start to break, is when receivers get the safeties and then they're able to make moves off that. But not just the receivers. I think the guys up front were climbing the linebackers better. The guards were. Myers was climbing better. So, because the first half, we weren't getting their linebackers were shooting gaps and making plays. Like, it was all happening within a yard of the line of scrimmage, and the guys up front weren't adjusting. In the second half, it looks like they adjusted, tightened up aiming points a little bit, getting bodies on bodies earlier, sticking on double teams, and that allows Jacobs to kind of make his moves at the line of scrimmage and find space.
All right, Blue, how about Sheed as far as pass protecting, and how did you think he played?
Yeah, obviously I mentioned the,
I love the sound effects today.
Well, because I'm just saying, like, it was a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag. Like, Tausch and I were on the live stream for two of them, right? The holding call that he got beat on, like, laid off the ball, and then just, obviously when you're really laid off the ball, you're probably going to get beat most of the time. Then he gets the holding call. The blown assignment on the scat protection. You could see after the play Elton talking to him about that. Like, you got to slide out there. Like, Elton was clearly telling him you need that's your guy. But looking at it as a whole, like, he had a couple iffy plays in protection, and then the rest of the time he looked fine. So, like, if he cleans up some of these things, like the mental error and just, like, always being on, like, at tackle, Tausch knows this, like, you can't be laid off the ball. You're laid off the ball, chances are you're getting beat. Like, and it's going to result in a hold. It's going to result in something bad. So, like, you always have to be, like, ready to go, no matter what. You can't be late. Like, if there's one thing offensive tackles, at least I always thought, if there's one thing I'm going to be, it's not laid off the ball. Like, I am getting off the rock no matter what. Like, sure, my technique may suck that play, but I'm not going to get beat off the ball and have a guy run by me and get a holding call. So, like, that's something that I think he can improve on, is always being, like, because Zach Tom's flying off the rock. Like, Zach Tom is getting a good jump. He must have learned that from Bakhtiari, getting off the rock. Like, that's how you get yourself in position. So I look at Sheed's play overall and, like, things to clean up in the run game, a couple of those things early on in the first half with the pass game. But you look at the rest of the game, and it was pretty good, like, besides a few of the plays. Yeah. So, like, I don't want to, like, because that's what happens offensive lineman. You have a couple bad plays, and, like, he played terrible. Like, that wasn't the case. That's what the media
does. Blue, that's what the media folks do. You know it.
Well, I'm just
give you 1.5 footballs or do this and scorch you, and then they come up the next week and, hey, Bryan, hey, can you do my radio show next week? Ain't that right,
no, so, like,
yo, rascal?
Well, I didn't give out footballs. There have been maybe times where I've brought up a certain player.
Hey, Jason, did you catch when we were getting after City? When who jumped, Blue? Somebody jumped, and we said, Sitton, I guarantee you will be in Campy's ear, making sure. The center didn't snap the ball, and they called the false start on Zach Tom, I think.
On Tom,
and we said, there's no way City would be calling his Pro Football Focus guy. He'd be calling, a Journal Sentinel guy. He'd be making sure everybody had the news to make sure. And you know what the great part is? City said, "You're dang right, I would."